Well, here's another first for Jesse.
Oh, doctor. Did he get enough to end it? He did! Oh, Billy!
Scooter Gennett, grand slam.
All right, that was good stuff. Thank you to Andy Pierce for that. Another personal thank you to all the names you saw there on the screen. Thank you very much for your hard work throughout the 2017 season, and two very special names on there. Jim Crobe, Matt Coyner, take it from this earth far too soon, and we continue to honor their memory. May you rest in peace. All right, final game of the 2017 season. Number 162 is here. We are moments away from Reds and Cubs here in the home of the Reds, Fox Sports, Ohio. Sports Ohio is brought to you by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. Yesterday and today, we've been bringing you the top 10 moments of 2017. 10 through 6 yesterday. We're bringing you the top 5 today, and we'll start with number 5. July 25th, Yankee Stadium. Ironically, former Red Todd Frazier at the plate. First triple play since 1995. And it was an odd one. You don't see this type of triple play. But the Reds turned it and did a nice job. First one since 95, as I said. Play number 5 of the year. The top 4 coming up as we send it upstairs. Final time. George Grant, Chris Welch.
Thank you, JD. A great job by you all season long, too. Outstanding. By the way, that's the same umpiring crew that was there for the triple play that's here for today's final series and final game of the season, as Brian Price takes a peek at his lineup card. And let's take a look at his Menard starting lineup for this one as he chats with Joey Votto. Billy Hamilton, who will start the day, 1 stolen base behind D. Gordon, who passed him last night. He'll be in the leadoff spot. Zach Cozart is 1 hit away from 300 for the season. Joey Votto will start his 162nd game of the season. Another monumental year for Joey. Adam Duvall, Eugenio Suarez, Scooter Gennett, Phillip Ervin, Tucker Barnhart, and McGuire, the pitcher, will bat in the number 9 position. On the mound for the Chicago Cubs, Chris, is a guy who came over, originally signing from Kansas City, then went to Seattle, and he came over about a year ago and bolsters his bullpen, and he's back in the rotation.
Well, he's been in both this year. He's had 44 games, including this one. 13 of these have been starts for Montgomery, and he's kind of bounced back and forth. He's a guy that is not overpowering with the fastball, but you're going to see a lot of ground balls. He's got a very good curveball. He induces a lot of ground ball double plays, Montgomery does, and for whatever he does the rest of his career with the Chicago Cubs, he will be remembered for one thing. He threw the final pitch in Game 7 of last year's World Series to take the Cubs to the championship, and he's been a big contributor again this year.
And you ask him, he's got a ball commemorating that, as the Cubs from 1908 all the way to last year were in a drought, and of course last year they won the World Championship, and they're heading back to the postseason this year. Montgomery ready to go against Billy. Billy at 249. 4 homers, 38 knocked in. They pinch in the corners as they always do with Hamilton. That's up high. The home plate umpire is Marty Foster, the veteran. John Tumpain is at first. Mike Wietzlinski is your second base umpire. And the crew chief is Mike Winters. He's down at third. Bright sunshiny day here at Wrigley. Right now the wind just blustery. Not as heavy as it was the last 2 days here in Chicago. Just a beautiful day to end the season if you're a fan. It's a perfect day to watch baseball. For the Reds, they'll go home after today and look towards 2018. For the Cubs, they'll head to Washington, where they'll take on the Washington Nationals in the first round of the playoffs. 67 degrees is your game time temperature, warmest of the 3 days so far here at Wrigley. 2 balls, 1 strike to the Reds leadoff hitter. Bounce to short. Addison Russell has it, and Billy's retired. Now you know that Billy Hamilton and Flash Gordon have a long relationship. May the best man win. Let's go, my boy. That's what Billy Hamilton tweeted out today. Last night, Flash Gordon not only picked up his 200th hit of the season, he saved that ball, but he also had 2 stolen bases to go from 1 behind Billy to 1 ahead of Billy. He's got 60. Billy has 59 to start today. And of course, Billy's, I guess the best way to describe him, Chris, he's the best base stealer that's never had a stolen base title.
Well, he's the best base stealer the Reds have had in quite a long time, probably going back to Eric Davis. I'm not so sure that he was able to utilize his wheels as much as he thought he would this year, as far as getting on base and staying healthy.
There's Zach Cozart. Health has been an issue for the Red shortstop. When he's been in there, he has been outstanding. Chris, you and I have watched Zach a long time. He's been a different offensive player, and he's been just as great defensively this year.
You know, he made an adjustment in spring training when he showed up this year in spring, and he felt so bad at the plate. He said, you know, I've got to do something different. So he started looking at videos of other players around the league and what they did as far as his setup. And he made one simple adjustment, which was take that bat, rest it on his right shoulder, and he said everything changed. It relaxed his hands, it relaxed his head. All of a sudden, the strike zone looked more controllable, and the numbers that he has put up this year because of that speak volumes as to what one little adjustment can do to help your confidence and really turn the corner.
And you can add to those numbers that you just saw on the screen. He's become a real solid leader in this Reds clubhouse, and
well,
of course a free agent.
Big name is coach.
That's it. 3 balls, 1 strike. That's pop foul down the third base line.
I'm sure that he feels a little bit of nervousness going on right now, a little bit edgy. You're sitting right at 299. I mean, the quest for 300. You know, when you've been up hundreds of times at the plate and you're finally here on the last day, you need one more knock to get you over the hump.
3-2 to Cozart. Fouled off, staying alive.
So Kozar doesn't want to be walked, number one, but he also doesn't want to start chasing bad pitches and make himself an easy out.
Now 1 is the magic number. 1 game left in the year. 1 hit for Kozar to hit 300. 1 stolen base for Billy Hamilton. Down the left field line, curving. It'll go out of play. Another big crowd on hand. 36,000 in game 1 of the series. 41,493 yesterday. And you know they're going to hang around after today to celebrate this season. There's Billy Hatcher in the third base coach's box for the Reds, and as usual, Freddie Benavidez down at first. 3-2 again. That's a dribbler towards the middle of the infield, and they'll get Kozar by a step. Here's your 4 defensive alignment for the Cubs. They've been solid defensively at the best time of the year. That's September. Overall, they've committed 95 errors. They're 10th in the league. The Reds are 3rd in the league with only 79. But this Cubs defense, with the exception of one play when they had the Stormtroopers in after they clinched the other night, they've allowed only 1 unearned run in the month of September, and that's helped them win the big series against Milwaukee, against St. Louis, and to clinch in St. Louis. And here's Joey, first pitch swinging. Votto, very rare. He's had a rare year, Chris. He's starting his 162nd game. The numbers are off the charts, as we show you every day. Yesterday, 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts, but he was hit by a pitch, so he continued his on-base streak, now at 31 games.
I think the most interesting thing about Joey Votto, if you look at it right now, is what he will come back as next year. He shows no signs of slowing down, even though he's 34 years old. And I really believe that he's going to go over the winter, and he's going to, look at his season this year and figure out how can I even be better next year. And I would imagine that 500 on base percentage is probably his next goal.
Remarkable year in every aspect. 2 balls, 1 strike. And a great sense of the strike zone. His idol, of course, Ted Williams, always said, you don't stay the same. Either you get better or you get worse. Ted Williams got better and better and better. And so is Joey Votto. 3 balls, 1 strike. Down to first. That's Gold Glove caliber at first. Rizzo hasn't made an error in 138 games. Reds go 1-2-3 in the first to the bottom of 1. Rizzo will lead it off. Starting lineup for Joe Madden, the 63-year-old manager of the Cubs and a 3-time manager of the year. Anthony Rizzo in the leadoff spot. Chris Bryant, number 2. John Jay will be the number 3 hitter, playing center field. Zobrist, Russell, Avila, Hayward, Baez, and Montgomery. That's 1 through 9. And here's young Deck McGuire who gets the start, Chris.
Well, you know, I doubt when Deck McGuire turned 28 years old this year down in Double-A that he ever thought he was going to be in the big leagues here by the end of the season. But here he is making his second start overall. McGuire pitched very good baseball for Pensacola. And the Reds have seen enough in this former #1 draft pick by the Blue Jays to give him a shot here in September.
Rizzo pops it up and out of play. No balls and 2 strikes. If you're wondering, Anthony Rizzo in the leadoff spot, well, he did it 13 times during the regular season. This is number 14, and he's had some good numbers. In fact, leading off the game, he's been 6 of 11 in the leadoff spot. And you know his numbers. Power. There's a looping fly ball playing deep as Duvall. He comes in and makes the catch. What a great catch by Duvall. He robs a base hit away from Anthony Rizzo. Duvall was playing deep. The wind's blowing towards that left field corner. This is a brilliant catch by the Reds left fielder.
Well, a recovery play right there, because his first couple of steps were backwards. He misreading how hard the ball was hit off the bat. Well, he's got good speed, you know, deceptive speed for Duvall. I think he's a much better athlete than people give him credit for, because automatically you think as a left fielder the guy's out there because he can't play anywhere else. Well, in high school a shortstop, in college a third baseman, and now a very good left fielder.
15 assists from left field. That's more than anybody else in baseball this year. This field is played differently each day, Chris. First day the wind was blowing in like a gale. Yesterday it was variable, and right now it's blowing towards that left field corner. So each left fielder will play pretty deep, especially for a guy like Chris Bryant, who comes in at 296 with 29 homers, 73 knocked in. Dribbled down to third, but it is foul. Bryant won the MVP last year, and chances are he probably won't win it this year, Chris, but he still had an outstanding season.
Well, he's a solid hitter in the middle of the lineup. Now, that's #2, which gives you a little different feel, but this is the way the Cubs really roll. I mean, they've got power up and down the lineup. You have Rizzo, as you mentioned earlier, George, batting leadoff a dozen times or so in the middle of the year. That's Joe Madden trying to get the offense going. But, you know, he has been a hard-nosed player for the Cubs. 150 games played each of his first 3 seasons. So that's a tough thing to do when you're a young player.
In fact, he's the first Cub to have 150 or more games in his first 3 seasons. And all 3 of those years have been outstanding. McGuire trying to get his feet on the ground against this high-powered Chicago offense that has 222 homers now, second most in the career of Chicago baseball. Tries to check it, can't do it, and that'll do it. Strikeout #1, out #2 here in the first. There's your 4th defensive alignment for the Reds. Reds 3rd in the league with only 79 errors, although they've made a couple in this series. Defensively, there's Duvall in left, Hamilton in center, and in right is Phillip Ervin for today. The infield per normal, Eugenio Suarez, Cozart, Jeanette, and Joey Votto, and Barnhart, of course, behind the plate. And then we talk about it, the 162nd game, all of them for Joey Votto at first, becoming the 4th Red in Reds history to start 162 games. Pretty good list there. Vada Pinson, Hall of Fame caliber guy, Leo Cardenas, and Pete Rose. In the middle of all those offensive numbers, he wanted to be in there every day, and he's lobbied back and forth with Brian Price, and here we are, game 162, and he's been in every one of them. There's John Jay, today's center fielder. He loops this one to left and out of play.
Jay's one of those underrated Chicago Cubs. I think underrated as a Major League Baseball player. I mean, you look up and he's always up around the 290 mark. Not a ton of home runs, but he's a very smart, heady baseball player. Been hitting the ball very well lately. Last 25 games or so, he's hit up around 350.
Always solid defensively. Will give you good at bats as well. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Reds playing straight away in the infield and outfield. Two-strike approach will shorten that swing. He fouls this one into the seats along the 3rd base line. He's been one of the keys in this month of September. He's been in and out of the starting lineup, and for September So the last 10 games at 419, and overall for the month of September, 350. Well, he's helped the Cubs have a great second half. I mean, we talk a lot about the Cubs, you know, all spring long. Chris, you were out in Arizona, you saw them. They looked like they were going to be the juggernaut again. Everybody picked them to go back to the World Series, but at the All-Star break, they were 2 games under 500. Joe Maddon's club was 5 games back of Milwaukee, but in the second half, 49-22 post All-Star. That's right back to McGuire. He's got it, and it's a 1-2-3. So we go to the second, scoreless here at Wrigley. Fox Sports Ohio Reds Fest presented by PNC Bank, December the 1st and the 2nd. It, of course, is at the Duke Energy Convention Center. Don't miss a couple of days of fan interaction with current and former Reds players. The great Chris Welsh will be there. Get autographs, take photos, and a whole lot more. For Reds Fest updates and event details, visit reds.com/RedsFest. Wouldn't be Reds Fest without you there, Christopher.
And you, George.
It's going to be fun. It always is fun. You know, we talked, I hope you were with us for our pregame show. A bunch of Reds fans have made the trek here to Chicago, and a lot of them live here in Chicago. Here's Montgomery dealing to Adam Duvall, Suarez, and then Scooter Gennett. Taylor Davis will come in to play first, so Anthony Rizzo's day is done. We wondered yesterday, we talked to Rizzo before the game, was he okay? And Joe Maddon said, yeah. And Rizzo said, yeah. He left after 2 strikeouts. And it'll be the same thing today. When this one ends, there won't be very many regulars sitting out there for the Cubs. So Rizzo will end with a 138-game errorless streak during the regular season. That's a Chicago Cub record. He bested the number held by the great Ernie Banks. Of course, Banks came up as a shortstop, ended his career over at first. You know, and every good infield, Chris, we've seen over the years, it's usually a big, wide stretching first baseman that anchors it, and he's done that for the Cubs. Picks a lot of balls out of the dirt.
Well, he does pick a lot of balls out of the dirt. He's made himself a good defender.
There's Duvall. Just as you said, he's made himself a good defender too. 2 runs batted in away from the magic 100 mark, 31 homers. And overall, the 247 average. That's a swing and a miss. Strikeout number 1 for Montgomery. 1 away here in the second, and here comes Suarez.
Montgomery is not an overpowering left-handed pitcher, but he does have a good curveball, and against right-handers he'll mix in a changeup, and that's one reason why he has what we would call reverse splits, meaning that right-handers hit for a lower batting average against him than do left-handers. Although most of the home runs he gives up are to righties. Either way, look at that splits. I mean, when you get a 222 combined batting average against you as a pitcher, out of relief or out of the starting rotation, you've done a heck of a good job. And that's where Montgomery is right now.
That's a bloop down the first base line. It's a fair ball. Suarez rounds first and will slam on the brakes there as Hayward's quick to get to it. So the Reds' first hit comes off the bat of Eugenio Suarez. And the Reds have a base runner with a one out here in inning number 2. Back in the old days, that would have been into the bullpen, the visiting bullpen, Chris. No longer that way here at Wrigley. The bullpens have been moved underneath the outfield stands. Looks a lot different. If you haven't been to Chicago, take the trek in because it's changing every time you come here. They're building a hotel. They've bought up all the buildings and lots around. This one sliced into left. There goes Zobrist. He's at the warning track and hauls it in. Great job by Brent Zobrist, and getting back to the bag will be Suarez at first.
You know, George, you mentioned early how good the Cubs defense has been. I think it's worth pointing out that it's very good despite playing a lot of different players in a lot of different positions. I mean, Zobrist was in right field. He started at second base before. We have in this series have had Ian Happ in center field, and then at third base we've seen Rizzo. I mean, we've seen Rizzo play third base earlier in the year, but we've actually seen Chris Bryant go out and play in the outfield as well. So, you know, despite being moving pieces all over the place, their defense as a whole has stayed very good. That's a tough thing to do.
And you got to have players that are willing to buy into that, and they've done that. Zobrist has always been that way in his career.
Well, if you get them to do it when they're young,
yep, that's it.
That's the time you do it.
You hit the nail on the head.
I mean, if you wait till after they got 10 years in the major leagues, you know, they're going to tell you to go talk to my agent.
You're right.
So you do it when they're in that stage of just happy to be here.
Yes, and that's Joe Maddon's first stage. Maddon, of course, early in his career had a 5-stage trajectory to becoming a major leaguer and becoming a winner. The first one is happy to be here.
That's the old Reggie Jackson. I don't think that Joe probably made that one up. That was what Reggie Jackson used to call the rest of us,
yep,
you know, in spring training.
He still does.
And yeah, absolutely right. You know, here's all of us superstars and all the rest of you just happy to be here.
Yep. Well, that guy is happy to be here. Talking to him before the game, he says, who knows what's going to happen, but we've had a good run and we're ready for the second season, which starts against Washington. Did he check it? Yes, he did, said the first base umpire, John Tumpane.
Interesting to see what happens with Irvin going forward, whether the Reds have room for him on an everyday basis, not an everyday basis as an everyday starter right now, but on the ball club as an outfielder. He showed a very quick bat. He's got some power, very athletic, can play good center field.
Hop up to the right side. Who's going to take charge? Hayward will. The Gold Glove caliber right fielder does. Red strand a runner. Going to the bottom of 2. Zobrist will lead it off. to you by Elk & Elk, serious lawyers for serious injury. Yep, it's been an all or nothing year throughout Major League Baseball this year. We'll probably pass 40,000 strikeouts, a Major League record. New record has been set every year since 2008. And of course, you know about the home run records, 6,080 home runs as of today, 387 more than the previous record set way back in 2000. There's Ben Zobrist. Zobrist steps in, 12 homers, 50 knocked in. Again, over 400 at bats. And in Joe Maddon's world, you'll play some second, some left, some right, wherever they need him. That's where he'll play. Interesting in talking to Ben, and of course, very emotional, I'm sure, in Kansas City. I give Ned Yost credit. The 4 free agents who very likely, majority of them will not be back in Kansas City, and Ben was one of those who was part of the World Championship there. All of them taken out of the game, given a standing ovation last night before the home folks. You know, Mike Moutsakis and Hosmer and that whole crew. What a great group and great run they had, Chris. And this guy was part of that.
Very much a part of that, and I'm sure that they will all end up somewhere where they're very much wanted. And they'll feel that feeling of being wanted by seeing that Brinks truck pull up.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Zobrist. High fly ball into right. Here comes Irvin. A little bit easier day in right field than it was yesterday. Even Jason Hayward said yesterday was one of the tougher right field days, and it certainly was, with the sun peering right down on the right fielder. And just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller time today. And today's game a little later on, brought to you by Miller Lite. We've been here for a lot of games over the years, Chris. I think you and I talked about our most memorable one was when Tom Browning went up in the buildings across the street. There's another fly ball to right. Who's going to take charge? Irvin will again, and there's 2 away. But probably the most enjoyable ones were back in the old days when we'd come here and we'd do a night game. You didn't have a day game. We got to sit in the stands. It's an experience, isn't it?
That's a great experience. I remember George showing up one day here having what we call a dark day, where we're not doing the television. And I got Gary Wayhoff, the traveling secretary, to give me 4 tickets. I had a buddy of mine and I were going to go to the game, and we didn't really want to sit behind home plate. We wanted to go out there and sit in the bleachers. But that's not where the team's tickets were. So I went out and stood in the line out there with all the other people, the bleacher creatures, you know, ready to get in the ball game. And I said, hey, I'll trade anybody 4 tickets behind home plate for 2 bleacher seats.
No way.
Hey, get out of here. Nobody wants to sit behind home plate.
Amazing. And by the way, our thanks to Gary Wayhoff for really, from day one back in Goodyear, Arizona, all the way here to day 162 of the regular season. He is so instrumental in getting the Reds here, there, and everywhere, and he does it with a smile on his face and great demeanor. Tremendous traveling secretary for the Reds, Gary Wayhoff. Here's Alex Avila, one of those imports during the course of the year. He came over from the Detroit Tigers, and they've got 3 pretty good catchers as they head to the postseason. They'll probably only carry 2. Rene Rivera picked up on waivers, and he's been a bona fide help in the postseason too. And talking to Joe Maddon, one of the difficult things he's had to deal with this weekend, he and Jed Hoyer and Theo Epstein, is that postseason roster. Nice problem to have, but some guys may very well get left off who deserve to be on. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Avila, of course, part of the postseason in the Detroit organization, and looking forward to being in the postseason here too. Very solid backstop and carries a pretty good bat with him. He's got 14 homers, 49 knocked in, and a 265 average. Cubs know it's not going to be an easy haul. They face the Washington Nationals in the first round of the playoffs. Traveled to Washington. And Washington had a scare last night. Max Scherzer left the game with a tweak in his hamstring in the 3rd inning. They say it's just a cramp, to be continued. Fly ball, Duval. Another nice play by the Reds left fielder. 1, 2, 3. 3 fly ball outs. McGuire due up second.
of 2017. Number 4, Scooter Gennett. Oh, what a season it has been. Got himself into the record books a couple of times, including the first ever to hit 4 grand slams in the same season. I'd call that clutch. Scooter. Cincinnati born. And now in the Cincinnati record books. Moment number 4.
Hey, JD, you know, I mean, we talk to all these guys daily, and talking to Scooter before the game today, and I said, when are you going to reflect on this year? He said, I'm going to go home and enjoy every moment of every memory of this year. Here's Montgomery dealing to Tucker Barnhart. And for you, I mean, the day that he hit the 4 home runs, the look on his face when he got back to the dugout, you've been so close to them as they walk back to the dugout. But that look on the face was priceless, wasn't it?
It really was, and going around the bases when he was just kind of putting his hands up and even looked into the Cardinals dugout like, I can't believe this just happened. And it was one of those moments in which normally I'm in the 9th inning, I'm gone. I've got to get to the postgame set, but I just sensed that it could possibly happen, so I stayed and took the chance. And man, am I glad I did to be so close to that. But yeah, you're right. The look on his face was, you want to talk about being in the zone. It's something that players can't explain when it happens. And it was just a look of surprise and obviously joy.
Barnhart bounces out. Here's McGuire. By the way, the guy you saw in front of Scooter right there in that first shot is Don Long, the hitting coach. And you look at some of these players that have made progress. You know, Chris, you believe it. You know, being a pitching coach is not an easy job, and either is being a hitting coach. I'm a great believer that no hitting coach or pitching coach should get less than a 3-year deal, because it takes you 1 year for a guy to believe in you. Second year, maybe you can make some changes. Then you start to see some changes in the 2nd or 3rd year, whether it's a hitter or a pitcher. And we're seeing some changes in some of these guys.
You're beginning to sound more and more like an agent. You know, I don't think we've talked about Don Long and Tony Jaramillo, his assistant hitting coach, anywhere near enough this year. Yep. They work behind the scenes, very low key. They're almost like hitting whisperers, the way they approach their job. And I think a lot of it has to do with the success that Joey Votto has been able to do. And then the other players now are kind of gravitating them, saying, all right, well, you know, what have you done with Votto? And how can I become good too?
Strikeout number 2 for Montgomery, 2 away, and here comes Billy Hamilton. You know, Joey Votto never said a word to anybody on the club. Just watching him shows you how you should conduct yourself as a hitter, or for that matter, as a major leaguer. And in the last couple of years, he's been much more open to sharing thoughts, ideas, philosophies with other players that come to him. I mean, he's not going to force it on anybody. That's the kind of leadership that you can't replace. 2 away. Here's Billy, who bounced to short first time up. Another bouncer to short. 1, 2, 3. Go the Reds in the 3rd. They've got 1 hit through 3. Deeper coverage brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. National League Triple Crown leaders entering today. Charlie Blackmon, a .330 average. Stanton, 59 homers, still trying for 60. And 131's knocked in. Clayton Kershaw with 18 wins, didn't get number 19 in Colorado last night, an ERA of 2.31. And Max Scherzer with 268 strikeouts. And over in the American League, Jose Altuve, what a year he has had. 347 in average. Judge, yeah, he could be the Rookie of the Year and he could be the MVP too. Cruz with 119s knocked in. Corey Kluber, 18 wins along with Carrasco and Vargas. Kluber at 2.25 ERA and Sale with over 300 strikeouts. Again, those are the statistical leaders entering today in the Triple Crown categories. But it's going to be interesting, Chris, for in all of those areas to see who wins the MVP in the National League and the American League. And Charlie Blackmon's had a remarkable year as a leadoff hitter, as an outstanding center fielder. Here's Hayward. Jason leading it off in the third.
Well, it's a tough call, especially in the National League, George. We went through that the other day when we talked about those that are the leading contenders. And, of course, Votto's in that conversation. Nolan Arenado's in that conversation. That's a nice play right there by Joey Votto. That ball absolutely scalded by Jason Hayward.
We can talk very often about Votto's offensive numbers. By his own admission, last year he had a subpar defensive year. He called Freddie Benavidez, who was his mentor defensively all through the minor leagues in the offseason, and said, I got to get better. They were together for a week in the offseason, and I think he's had his best defensive year this year.
Well, really, for Joey Votto, it isn't about the mechanics of fielding ground balls, and it's not about the repetition now of getting a lot of ground balls, because as long as he's been around, he's 34 years old. I mean, he's had plenty of ground ball practice. It was basically his commitment to stay and pay attention while he's in the field. And that's where the really good defenders separate themselves from everybody else. They are ready and completely in on every pitch defensively. And I think Votto much more this year than in years past because he recognized that as a weakness. And Votto does not want to have one weakness in his game, period.
That's how to be a major leaguer. Number 19 has been pretty special. Baez drills this one on a line to left center. It's off the wall. They got a shot at him at second. Here comes the throw, and they'll have to slam on the brakes. Baez had double written all over it, but that one carried perfectly to Billy Hamilton, and the throw to second, he would have been a dead duck.
Well, if you want to know how you can use the term launch angle, this might be one area where you can do that. If this launch angle is a little bit higher, it goes into the street. It's out on Waveland Avenue somewhere. But since it's such a line drive off the bat, coming off that brick wall, hang with him there, Javier. Easily single.
He hit that a ton. So Baez is on, and here's the pitcher, Montgomery. Montgomery 192 on the season. He does have a homer and 3 knocked in.
I've been waiting to talk about launch angle all year long. I don't really understand it, but I do know that that was a line drive.
Yeah, the eye test still works, so you can call it launch angle, whatever you want to call it. It was a bullet. Down to third, backhanded but bobbled over the first. It doesn't go into the seats, but it'll be first and third. Suarez will be charged with an error. Luckily for him, it hit the top of the railing and did not go into the seats. So Montgomery gets the bat on the ball, and it creates something. First and third with 1 out.
I'll tell you, Montgomery hit that ball very hard, and I think it may have caught Suarez by surprise. You got a lefty up there. You don't expect that ball to come down there off the bat of a pitcher that hard, and he wasn't able to glove it cleanly. So when he did throw, he had his weight on his back foot and never was able to kind of get over his front leg to finish the throw.
So it'll go as a base hit, and the error allows the runner to go from second to third. So it's first and third. And that'll bring up the new first baseman, Taylor Davis, who took over for Rizzo at the top of the order. Gary Jones, the third base coach, down at third with Baez. Brandon Hyde, your first base coach for the Cubs today. now they're going to give 2 errors. That's tough. They're giving 2 errors on the play, one on the ball, the other on the throw. Oof. First at bat for Davis. Popped up in the infield, battling the sun. Scooter, he's got it. There's your second out of the inning. Hey, your breakout MLB season is on Nintendo Switch. RBI Baseball 2017 filled with fast-paced pick-up-and-play MLB action packed with all your favorite MLB teams, players, ballparks, and a whole lot more. Get RBI Baseball today for Nintendo Switch. Learn more today at RBIGame.com.
Someone's going to have to explain that scoring call to me, because I don't understand how we would get 2 errors on that. The same error allowed the runner to go to third as allowed the pitcher to go to first.
I agree. You know, it may be altered, but strange decision. Here's Chris Bryant, struck out first time up. They'll overshift to the left side. Scooter behind the second base bat. Cozart pulled well into the hole. In the outfield, they play him pretty much straight away. From the stretch is McGuire. Breaking ball down low. Baez very active defensively and offensively. He will always take a big secondary lead. And with the third baseman Suarez way off the bag, he'll come a third of the way down the line. That one in the dirt. Fortunately flagged down by Barnhart. Baez, one of the more athletic players in all of Major League Baseball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Slap to the right side. It'll be in the seats out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Now you mentioned, the likes of Schwarber and Happ changing positions, but when your MVP buys into it too, that makes it a heck of a lot easier to sell an idea like that. And Chris Bryant, he'll look at the lineup card when he gets there every day. Sometimes, now it's almost always third, but he'll play wherever Joe Madden puts him. That's up and away. Full count, 3-2. Jackson Stevens yesterday, McGuire today. A couple of young guys getting a look at Wrigley Field for the first time, getting a look at the mound, getting a look at history before your eyes, and trying to win a Major League game too. 3-2. Runner from first will be going. High fly ball to right center. Here comes Phillip. Irvin's there, got it, and they strand the runners. Cozart due up, and we return. Field in Chicago. Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, being brought to you by Cincinnati Children, changing the outcome together, and by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And don't forget, the Red Cross depends on financial donations to be able to provide disaster relief immediately. Help people affected by hurricanes Harvey and Irma and Maria by visiting redcross.org or texting the word Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation. Here's Zach Cozart for his second at-bat of the day. Changes for the Cubs. Tommy La Stella comes in to play second in place of Baez. And the new pitcher is Big John. John Lackey will take over on the mound. Again, last day of the season, a tune-up day for the Cubs in so many ways. Lackey, 30th. He had 30 starts this year. And for John Lackey, this postseason rotation not firmed up yet. But Chris, you figure that somewhere along the road he's going to have a hand in an important game, an important moment, and a run towards a repeat title.
You know, the trick for a manager when you're in the postseason and you win your division is that you nearly go a week between from the time you play games. And if you win your division and clinch way ahead of time, you're playing a lot of meaningless games unless you're trying to get home field advantage and so on. But you know, this weekend against the Reds haven't meant really much at all for the Cubs. And it's difficult to try to keep your guys fresh and at the same time give them a little bit of a break so that when you do roll into your first postseason game, and in the case of the Cubs, that'll be next Friday in D.C., you know, to have them all ready to go. They plan a couple of simulated games during the week. They're using John Lackey in relief after their starter's only gone 3 innings. So I don't think there's any perfect way to do it yet, but I think that Joe Maddon's trying just about everything he can, you know, to get these guys ready to stay kind of peaking because they're playing their best baseball of the year right now.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Cozart. Down to third, but foul past Billy Hatcher.
Of course, you may ask yourself, well, you know, they just got done with the St. Louis Cardinals and they manhandled them all year long. And they're now playing the Reds 3 games in a row, and they've also manhandled the Reds all year long. So are they really playing the best baseball of the year, or is it just who they're playing?
From the stretch is Lackey in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Of course, when the Cubs clinched the other day in St. Louis, very interesting, in the middle of all the mayhem, John Lester stepped up, and you know, John's not the kind of guy that really seeks out the media, but he did on that night. There's Lackey to the stretch, and again, probably indicative of he knows how he's going to be used in the postseason, working from the stretch. And this is the end of Lackey's contract, and the indications are he's probably going to retire. And John Lester, in the middle of all that mayhem, said he's one of the best teammates, one of the best people I've ever had to play with. Tonight is probably his last regular season start. Here's to one heck of a career. The salute from John Lester to Big John Lackey. That was in the mayhem of St. Louis after they clinched their division title again. Big John's been pretty tough, Chris.
And now this counterpoint from the umpires.
That's a call, strike 3, and Cozart is 0 for 2. The hope for a 300 season pretty much evaporating now. Started at 299 and he's 0 for 2.
It's about as good a slider as you can throw. Front door slider. Looked like it was going to hit him in the belt buckle and comes right back there on the inside corner.
Strikeout number 1 for Lackey. Here's Joey Votto, who bounced to first time up. And you know, we talk often about how the Cubs have turned everything around with some great young players. But what they've also done, with Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer have done, is bring in some leadership. I mean, guys like Zobrist, David Ross, who now of course is retired. But Lackey and Lester really help these young pitchers. That's a bullet into the corner for Votto. Make it 32 straight games on base, and Joey Votto picks up another 2-base hit. So for Joey, he's sitting on second with 1 out here in the 4th. And why should 162 be any different than game number 1 for number 19?
Boy, hits this ball hard. Lackey really doesn't have a pitch to get Votto out. I mean, he's a fastball slider guy. He plays the percentages by throwing a lot of strikes.
.32 and counting for Joey Votto. He'll end this year with a 32 consecutive game reaching on base streak. That's a strike to Adam Duvall, who struck out looking first time up.
Duvall has had a whale of a time trying to hit Lackey during their matchups. They faced each other 20 times. Duvall is hitting 150 career.
Talked about reverse splits for Montgomery. Not true for Lackey. Boy, he's tough on right-handers.
Well, he's got that slider. I mean, he doesn't really throw much of a changeup. He's basically a two-pitch pitcher. And he's a big, tall guy, and I think the fastball gets on you, a little deception. He's a little quicker than he appears, even at his age now, which is in the upper 30s. That slider is a great equalizer. He comes inside now. I can guarantee you next pitch is going down and away. If not next pitch, the pitch after that. Guy's a good competitor.
Oh, one of the best.
And he'll compete with the other team, and he'll compete with the umpires.
If he does retire, there won't be many cards from umpires through.
Walk didn't stop.
Walk called by the third base umpire, Mike Winters. So going to third will be Votto. Now the inning changes dramatically with only 1 out, runner at third, to see if the Cubs will bring the infield in. They will. They inch into the edge of the grass with Votto on third. And a 2-2 count to Adam Duvall. Holes on that one up and in, and we'll go full 3-2. Checking, that should be 2-2. That's hit hard past the third baseman. Bringing the infield in, gives the Reds a run. Duvall around first, going to second. He'll cruise into second with a run-scoring 99th RBI for Adam Duvall, and the Reds lead it 1-0.
A couple of scorchers in this inning off of Lackey. He tries to throw the slider, but he hangs it right in there for Duvall. And boy, does he hit the barrel it up and throws it right by Bryant.
That's the difference of that 6-step in tighter with the infield in. Instead of a ground ball and holding the runner in the second out, the Reds get a run out of it, and Duvall sitting on second. And here's Eugenio Suarez. Suarez single to right first time up. In all probability, Lackey's appearance in the postseason will come out of the bullpen, so he's got to work from the stretch. But when he started this inning, working from the stretch, and if you're a long-time starter, you're used to warming up in the bullpen, coming in your full windup. So change for the big guy and trying to get through it here in the 4th inning. Talk about making the postseason and what it means. Well, when you add it up, we know about CC Sabathia and Madison Bumgarner, but Lackey and Lester on that list of most postseason victories among active pitchers. And when you bring young pitchers up with that kind of leadership on your staff, that helps them grow up too. Chris, I think if you look at the Reds for 2018, You hope to have a healthy Homer Bailey again, yes. DeSclafani, Finnegan, you hope to get back. But that's ripped off the glove of Addison Russell. The long throw he's tagged and he's out. I think what happened was Suarez thought the ball was caught and he slowed up. And when the ball squirted out, he tried to get the motor running again, and he gets tagged at first for the out.
Well, another hard hit ball off of John Lackey. Good pursuit right there by Addison Russell not to give up. I think you're exactly right, George. That, you know, the natural hesitation is that when you see the ball go into a fielder's glove, you stop running.
So the runner had to hold at second. There's 2 away, and here comes Scooter, who flied to left first time up. First pitch swinging, slice to the left side. Russell calling all the way, and he's called off by the left fielder. That'll do it. The Reds get a run, though. Double by Votto. Double by Duvall. 1-0.
The conclusion of Bronson Arroyo's major league career. In 16 seasons, he won 148 games, was a National League All-Star and World Series champion. Please join us in congratulating Reds pitcher Bronson Arroyo on a great career.
Couldn't have been said any better than that for number 61, Chris. What a special guy on the field and off. Career versus the Cubs, over 500, 14-12, an ERA 3.2 and 32 starts. Bronson's final game, retiring this year, is John Jay, will lead it off in the 4th inning. Jay bounced back to the pitcher first time up. And of course, there's a liner to center field. Billy over, he's got it, and there's one away. Of course, here in Chicago, Theo Epstein was the guy who traded him from the Red Sox originally, and now Theo's the president here, and Theo has a message for Bronson.
Theo Epstein here, the dumb guy who traded you. Never make that mistake again, buddy. Congrats on an incredible career. You're somebody who was always dependable on the field, off the field, always there for your friends, always there for people in need, and doing it your own unique way. I look forward to what the next stage brings for you, buddy. Thanks for taking us along for the ride. All the best.
Yeah, well put by Theo Epstein, and that next stage is not just a stage of life, but it's probably a stage where he can play his guitar too, Chris.
Oh, I'm sure it is, George. I mean, he's a guy that a lot of people can list as a very close friend. I mean, that's just kind of the way he is. He just gives you the feeling that he is a guy you want to get to know. And so many people love him, like to be around him. And believe me, I've never seen the situation that the Reds have given Bronson Arroyo this year. They wouldn't do it for a lot of people.
Yep.
In fact, I don't know who else they would do it for. But, you know, he spent 9 years with the Reds. He won 108 games with the Reds. And that's on the field. But I mean, who else gets injured in the very beginning of the year, can't play another game all year long, but we're going to travel you. We're going to have you sit next to the young players. We're going to have you kind of mentor them a little bit. And that's a very short list that you find when a ball club will do that for a player, and they've done that for Bronson Arroyo.
There's Ben Zobrist, who hit a fly ball to right first time up, liner to Joey, 2 away. JD, you sit there night after night and look down the bench and watch him talking to those young players, the young pitchers especially, and I think we've all seen the emotion on his face the last couple of days.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, and he actually took a picture before today's game. He went out by the Ivy, and actually twofold. One, he put it on social media, and next he sent it to his good friend Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam, who is a Cubs fan, and thanked Eddie for the video tribute that Eddie Vedder sent to him. And he told me that in this text to Eddie Vedder how cool it was to finish in his second favorite ballpark, and there's nothing holding him back from attending Pearl Jam shows now.
That's right.
All caps, freedom. See you down the road, brother. So that was a cool thing that he shared with me, that he shared with his friend Eddie Vedder. But you're right, the mentoring that's gone on this season, and he's really been the entertainment coordinator for this team as well. And there are just legendary stories behind the scenes of what's been going on all season on these bus rides, plane rides, etc. But it all starts with mentoring between the white lines, and no one better.
Two things. Number one, Chris and Jim, I think we both agree. You know, at some point it's really going to hit him that his baseball career is over, because he loves being at the ballpark, and that's the final day. Not an easy one for him as he heads off into the sunset. But you know, he's got a life outside of baseball, yes, but he's going to miss being at the park and miss the smell of the pine tar and miss the moments that he's had. I don't think there's any doubt about that. You were there, Chris. It's a different feeling come next spring, isn't it?
Oh, it is, and it comes to, you know, some getting used to.
You know, guys, one thing that he said he's always going to do is he'll come back and help the clubhouse crew clean the spikes.
Yep.
He has promised them over the years, and he guarantees that that is going to happen.
Well, JD, you're going to have to fight for him to clean the spikes in spring training in Goodyear next year. Hey, McGuire's had a pretty good run of it. He's leading 1-0. Major League Baseball postseason is set. It's here, where every pitch, hit, and strikeout, every out inning and game has led to where we are right now. The only thing that matters now is October. Tune in for the ALDS beginning Thursday on FS1. And don't forget our IGS bringing the energy numbers for today. Reaching the century mark, the Dodgers, the Indians, the Astros. 103 for the Dodgers, 101 for the Indians, 100 for the Astros. Sixth time in Major League Baseball history with 3 teams having 100 wins. First time since 2003. And what those numbers also mean is that if the Dodgers make it to the World Series, they have home field advantage, because this year it is different. No longer is it alternated from American League to National League, or no longer is it just the who wins the All-Star game. It is the team with the best overall record. Bunch of changes as the Reds come to bat here in the 5th. Zobrist stays in left. Hayward moves to center. Almora Jr. in right. Happ goes to third. Freeman at short. And a new pitcher as well, Chris. I got to
Rob Zastryzny is the pitcher. It's his 8th game this year. Actually, make it his 4th game this year. He was in 8 games last year for the Cubs. A left-hander that born in Edmonton, Canada, but was raised in the Missouri area, and that's where he was originally drafted and signed by the Cubs back in 2013.
I'm still trying to write my scorecard out. I'm trying to figure out where everybody's hitting.
You're still keeping score?
This is like spring training, isn't it? Actually, in spring training, the manager will tell you what he's going to do, when he's going to do it. Here's Phillip. Fly to right, first time up. Zobrist, Hayward, Almora across the outfield. Happ, Freeman, Estella, who came in already, and Davis across the infield, and Avila still behind the plate. Loop down the right field line. It will drop for a hit in front of Albert Almora Jr., and the Reds have the leadoff hitter on here in the 5th. Now back to Bronson and the young pitchers, Chris. As you look at next year, and I mean this year I think would look a lot different if you had Anthony DeSclafani and Brandon Finnegan and Homer Bailey with 90 starts instead of 30 starts, which we didn't have, of course. And if Feldman was healthy all year, this rotation would have looked a lot different.
And I think the win-loss record would have looked a lot different as well.
That's a fair ball down the line off the bat of Tucker Barnhart. Irvin, who had started to run, stopped, and then turned on the gas and gets to third. So it's a double for Tucker. That's the 3rd double for the Reds today. And the Reds catcher sitting at second and third, nobody out here in the 5th. Phillips off and running, then slams on the brakes, and now sees where the ball goes. So he's sitting at third. Good swing by Tucker. Here's Deck.
You know, George, the other thing you're reminded of when you think of Bronson Arroyo and how he ended up here with the Cincinnati Reds, even great general managers and guys that have made an impact in baseball in cities where they've needed it, like in Boston, where he won a World Series there after so many years, and here in Chicago, Theo Epstein making a big impact, winning the World Series here in 2016. Well, even they make bad trades. He traded Bronson Arroyo for Willie Mo Pena. We never heard from Willie Mo again.
Yeah.
And Bronson Arroyo comes over here to the Reds and ends up winning 108 games.
But does this Reds young pitching core need somebody like that next year? You need to bring somebody in like that, a leader like that among the starters for the Reds?
I think you better have that at Homer Bailey.
Yep.
And I think that's what the Reds are planning on. If you have a healthy Homer Bailey, I think we're going to get that. Do I think you need a mentor on the bench all year long? Absolutely not.
You hope for health among the veteran Reds pitchers for next year, that's for sure.
I mean, you know, some of these guys that are going to be coming back, you can't call them veterans. But, you know, if DeSclafani comes back, he's had 60 starts in the major leagues. You don't need to nurse him along next year. I would imagine that the Reds are probably going to bring in a veteran pitcher or two, maybe one for the bullpen. to solidify the back end of the bullpen along with Raisel Iglesias and maybe a starter like a Scott Feldman or that caliber who could give you some innings. Very unfortunate that Feldman was injured.
And hard down to short. That's going to get a run in. Running on contact was Phillip Ervin, so it's a 6-3 put out, but a run batted in for McGuire. And the Reds lead it 2-0.
Take that all day long.
Amen. Good at bat for McGuire, and these are guys certainly you have to pencil in as candidates for at least a couple of the starting rotation spots for next year. Castillo shows he's belonging. Tyler, Sal, or Robert, all of them had flashes in the second half. And the other part of it, Chris, I think that we all see is when we talk to scouts from other teams. They've been impressed by some of these young pitchers as well. Some of them agreeably not ready for the major league. Some of them shown potential to be major league ready. Castillo's probably at the top of the list. Romano and Stevenson right behind him. Here's Billy still looking for his first hit, first on base today. 2 ground balls to short. That's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, it was really because of the injuries to Homer Bailey, DeSclafani at the very beginning of the year that allowed Bronson Arroyo to make the ball club in the first place. Because when the Reds signed him back in February, he was a long shot to be on the big league roster with the Reds really any time this season. But it was just one injury after another that caused the Reds, you know, basically to go to Bronson and say, we never thought this was going to happen, but you're going to be one of our starters. So in a weird way, it worked out.
Strisny to the stretch. Here's a pop up in the infield. Davis circling under it. He has it, and Billy's 0 for 3. Hey, get inside the golf zone with Jimmy Hanlon, presented by Varmint Guard. You'll have highlights from this weekend's President's Cup, plus helpful tips to bring down your score. The Golf Zone tees off tonight at 8 on Fox Sports Ohio and streaming on Fox Sports Go. I'm sure you've got all of Jimmy's shows DVR'd so that you can beef up that Lynx game in the offseason. No big trip this year, though, huh? Yet.
Not yet.
Still working on it. Big golf trip.
Still trying to figure out which friend needs a little company.
Here's Cozart 0 for 2. The average now down to 297. So unlikely he'll end at 300. But even with that, he's had an outstanding offensive year and a solid defensive year as usual. Do you bring Zach Cozart back? That's a question the Reds will have to answer. He is, of course, a free agent at the end of the year. They have exchanged at least one offer between the two sides, not even close. Of course, for Zach, he's hopeful of a long-term deal, his last deal of his major league career. One thing is sure, he's been instrumental to the growth of many of these young players as a leader in this clubhouse. And he's been, you saw that earlier we showed you his offensive numbers at the top of the list among National League shortstops.
Well, there's a lot to like about Cozart. There's just no doubt about that. The way he handles himself. I mean, his nickname is Coach, as I said earlier, so all the players respect him. He does everything the right way. But when you're a small market club, you have some considerations due to your payroll. And I don't know how the Reds are going to go. I couldn't advise him. But you know, he could come back to the Reds if it makes sense for both sides. I don't know what the market is for shortstops, you know, of his caliber and his age and his injury status out there in the open market. I think a lot of that's just going to have to play out.
I think there are really 3 possibilities. Number one, he gets a 3 or 4 year deal. He'd like to get a 3-year deal with another team and signs and goes someplace else. Number 2, maybe the injury might short circuit the possibility of getting one of those deals, and it becomes a 2-year deal. And when he can't find an offer to his liking, then maybe at the end of the offseason. It comes back to a deal with the Reds again. We shall see. It'll be an interesting offseason for number 2. But boy, he's had a great year for the Reds. A moment for you, please. The Fox Sports family lost a team member earlier today as Dallas Stars broadcaster Dave Strader passed away after a courageous fight against cancer. Dave has also called hockey games for Detroit, Carolina, and Arizona. Recently rewarded for his outstanding contributions as a hockey broadcaster, and he'll be inducted into the Hall of Fame come next month. Solid guy, solid professional, and we've lost too many people this year. And we send our condolences to Dave and his entire family, all of us at Fox and throughout the hockey world. A moment of silence for Dave Strader. And Chris, we lost some people that have touched us so much. Jim Crow, Matt Coiner here on part of our team, and of course the great Gene Bennett passed away just over a month and a half ago. People that you'll never forget. They'll always be part of history. People that never leave us, never leave us.
Well, they leave good things behind if you learn from them, and I think that's what we've been able to do, especially a guy like Gene Bennett, George. In the organization as long as he was, so many great stories, so many smiles and laughs, so much knowledge about baseball that he gave everybody who would care to listen.
And right up till the end, he was watching Reds baseball.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. That Votto's having a heck of a year, isn't he? He's the best. He's the best. He's still with us. There's Jason Hayward. Hayward today robbed of a hit on a play by Votto in the 3rd. And here's a guy, Chris, whenever you go to the postseason, you wonder, might he just take over a postseason? Signed an 8-year deal 2 years ago. Off the end of the bat, blooped into right center. It will be a base hit. Long run for Billy. Almost able to squeeze it, so it's a base hit for Jason Hayward.
Can you believe how far Billy Hamilton went to get to that ball?
You're making another spectacular play. Jim Day has shown you the plays of the year. We've gone month by month, and every month he's got 2 or 3 of them, and this was almost one for the archives. Talk about Gold Glove caliber. Barnhart behind the plate. Hamilton in center field. brilliant defense during the course of this year. There's Tommy La Stella in for Baez at second base, his first at bat. La Stella gave us an at bat to remember yesterday. 17 pitches. Finally lost the battle, but what an at bat it was. Asher Wojciechowski battled him for 17 pitches and 11 foul balls off the bat of Tommy La Stella before he struck him out. And this is one of those weapons that the Cubs have going to the postseason. Outstanding pinch hitter. High in the air to right, going back, Irvin, backing up, got it. They handle that one well. 2 away.
Well, they've got a number of weapons. I mean, if you look at the lineup that they put out here to start the game today, George, 2 of the players that they were missing in this lineup were Kyle Schwarber and Ian Happ. And to have those guys available off the bench, if you don't put them in the starting lineup, is something that every manager would love to have. I mean, some serious threats.
Happ inserted in the game at third, hitting him here in the 9th spot in the order. He crushed a 3-run home run to win game 1 of this series, and he just missed this one. This hit a ton high in the air. Billy back, got it. A base hit, no harm. The Reds continue to hang on to a 2-0 lead. Thrilling plays. The 2017 Major League Baseball postseason begins October the 3rd. Go to MLB.com/postseason for a full schedule. And after yesterday, the schedule is complete. Twins versus the Yankees in the American League wild card. Winner's going to play the Indians on Thursday on FS1. Probables: Herman Santana against Luis Severino. Yankees won the season series 4-2, including a sweep at Yankee Stadium. And on FS1 on Thursday, the Indians will begin their quest for another trip to the World Series. And you know who's going to be there, our producer Josh Hall. There's a dribbler down to first. Davis has it. He'll tap the bag. Joey Votto's retired. More changes for the Cubs. Votto retired after doubling his last time up 1 for 3. Schwarber comes in to play left. Almora moves from right to center. Ben Zobrist moves from left to right. And Caratini's behind the plate. Can't tell the players without a scoreboard, Cristoforo. Think Harry Carey be having some fun right about now?
He's having fun every day when he was at the ballpark.
Boy, It was always such a joy to sit in the booth next to him. Just entertaining. Never a dull moment with the great one. Here's Adam Duvall. Knocked in the Reds' first run with a double in inning number 4, 1 for 2. Hey, the Bengals got things back rolling in the right direction. We went into the Cubs clubhouse today, and Otis, Tommy Hellman, of course, who used to work with the Reds in Cincinnati, now the clubhouse major domo. Here's a rocket into the left field corner. It's going to be one hopping off the wall, and it's going to be back-to-back doubles for Adam Duvall. Boy, he's ending on a high note, isn't he?
Well, he had 3 hits yesterday, Duvall did. He's got 2 hits today, both doubles. 37 of them on the year now for Adam, and really good to see that.
Right on that swing, one hop off the wall, one out, runner at scoring position. And here comes Suarez. But the Bengals won today over the Cleveland Browns, the final 31-7. And in the middle of the Cubs clubhouse, everybody's watching baseball and this and that. There's Otis watching the Bengals. He'll always be a Bengal fan. Stresney from the stretch. Suarez singled and bounced out, 1 for 2. That's in the dirt. Caratini keeps it in front. On this final day of the season, remember they started it a couple of years ago where every game starts at the same time, whether it's West Coast or East Coast, right about the 3 o'clock hour. So everything will be wrapping up, and everything was wrapped up last night. When we left you, remember Milwaukee had a 6-0 lead against the Cardinals yesterday. The Cardinals came back, finally won the game to knock Milwaukee out of playoff contention. But a heartbreaking defeat for the Milwaukee Brewers, and finally something invigorating for the Cardinals in what has been a rough week for them. 2 balls, no strikes. Waves at that. It's 2-2. Pretty good year for the Reds' third baseman. Added up 26 homers, 82 knocked in for Eugenio, and more importantly, a brand new baby daughter that he'll be smiling at all winter long. It's a rite of passage. One of the best days of any year is the first day of spring training, and certainly opening day. One of the saddest days for baseball fans is the last day of their team's season. Cubs will live on after today. The Reds' season will end today. But the other side of it is all these guys will be able to spend time with their wives, their kids, and their families. Holds at 2-2. Another good block by Caratini, and we'll go full 3 balls, 2 strikes. Reds at Fox Sports Ohio like to send out a very special belated happy birthday wish to Burley Gillespie from Anderson Township, who celebrated his 90th birthday yesterday with a big party watching the Reds game. Happy birthday, Burley. You're in charge of runs today. Hopefully we'll bring you a smiling scoreboard and a W. This one blooped to right field, heading to the grass, and it'll hit grass. Here comes Duvall around third. He'll be held, and it's 1st and 3rd for the Reds.
Yeah, the second one of those for Suarez. He got a hit in the second in the exact same way. Got jammed a little bit, looked like he was trying to pull the ball, and ends up dumping it into right field. He'll take those all day long. That makes up for all those line drives you hit earlier in the year that went right at the third baseman, or maybe right in the glove of the left fielder.
How about as a pitcher?
They never even out.
You forget about the line drives that were caught. You just remember about the bleeders, right?
Well, they've had defenders out there with gloves for a long time. His line drive should be caught.
Over your career, you know, some of the guys you played with all the overshifting today, could you imagine some of those veteran pitchers if someone was overshifted and then somebody dribbled the ball the other way where nobody was? Not happy. Can you imagine Steve Rogers with the shift now? That's a shot into right, a base hit, and Scooter will get the run in. 97 runs batted in for Scooter Gennett now. 3 hits for the Reds here in the 6th, and they now lead it 3-0.
97 runs batted in.
Unbelievable.
I mean, the Reds were just hoping to have him for a little bit of left-handed thump off the bench this year. This guy's putting up the kind of numbers that would make a Jay Bruce fan happy.
Amen. There's Phillip. Fly ball to right and a single to right. Irvin started the Reds rally in the 5th. He singled. Barnhart doubled. McGuire grounded out to plate Phillip for the 2nd run for the Reds. 2 on, 1 out for Cincinnati. Rocket shot. Good job by Suarez to get back. Those are the baseball guys, huh? Suarez will take the bloop, Irvin will take the hang with him. Now here's Chad Wallach will come in for Tucker Barnhart. And Chris, it's been a great year for Wallach to make it to the major leagues. Of course, good year at the minor league level. And as we say goodbye to Tucker Barnhart for the year, as he's pinch hit for here in the 8th inning. What a remarkable year Tucker had.
Well, he's come into his own, and I think that no better way to recognize that than what the Reds did to sign him to an extended, long-term contract. I mean, there's no secret the fact that the Reds don't have a whole bunch of depth at the upper level of the minor leagues when it comes to everyday starting catching. So when you get a guy like Barnhart around, and he's one of your own guys, he's kind of from Reds country, Brownsville, Indiana, just a little bit north of Indianapolis. You want to keep him in the system. You want to keep him on your ball club because he's a difference maker in a very subtle way. Tough guy to replace.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
I say Brownsville, I meant Brownsburg, and it's actually south of Indianapolis. I just drove by Brownsville on the way up here the other day.
And you'll be driving back there tomorrow morning. Wallach's retired. The Reds get a run, lead at 3-0.
Are on sale now. Enjoy exclusive perks and benefits by becoming a Reds season ticket member. Visit Reds.com for details. Bringing you the top moments/plays of 2017. We've reached the top 3 in our quest for catch of the year. 2 were equal in our minds, so we've got co-catches of the year. We will start on June 28th. Scott Schebler. Watch him go up and rob Voit of a 3-run home run. Beautiful, beautiful catch on June 28th. And Billy Hamilton, August 8th. Check him out. I'll let the pictures tell this one. Co-catches of the year, Schebler, Hamilton. Moments number 3. And this Reds defense, outstanding all year long.
That's a Gold Glove caliber center fielder and a Gold Glove caliber catcher for the Reds in 2017, no doubt. You hope Billy will be honored, and you hope Tucker Barnhart will be honored. Don't know what the votes will be tabulated, but boy, they provided Gold Glove caliber all season long. Changes for the Reds. Cozart's day is over. Zach Vinci will be the new shortstop. Luke Farrell will come in and pitch for the Reds. Vinci picked up his first major league hit here in Chicago. A visit to Chicago he'll remember forever. And Luke Farrell, of course, will remember this year forever. Last week, pitching at home with his dad in the opposite dugout, the manager of the Boston Red Sox. And they talked last night after the clinch. The Red Sox clinched the East, meaning the Yankees play Minnesota in the wild card game. Big swing by Taylor Davis. Sky high into left. Duvall moseys in. He'll haul it in. And Davis is retired. One away here in the 6th. Here comes Albert Almora Jr. Now, not only do the Cubs have versatile players, Chris, they've got some guys that can flash some pretty good defense in the outfield. I mean, you know they play Schwarber largely because of his bat in left field. But you take Almora and you see Wallach behind the plate too for Barnhart. Joe Madden can put some pretty good gloves out there if he needs them.
Ian Happ, good defender.
Yeah. Leonis Martin made one of the catches of the year for the Cubs in that game, the benching game against the St. Louis Cardinals when they eliminated the Cardinals over the center field wall, similar to the catch that you just saw from Scott Schebler. Overall, Almora, 7 homers, 45 knocked in. Around 300 at bats for the season. Missed it on Thursday night. It was this catch that eliminated the Cardinals from the postseason.
I think that was the 11th inning right there,
yep,
wasn't it?
It was,
that, enabled the Cubs to come back up and ended up winning that game in extra innings.
One side jumping up, the other side slumping in the dugout for the Cardinals.
Of course, then the Cardinals came right back last night.
Amazing.
From a 6-0 deficit to defeat the Milwaukee Brewers and crush their hopes, thereby putting the Rockies into the postseason. One-game play-in game on Wild Card Day against the Diamondbacks, and probably Zach Greinke on the mound.
Or Hopper down to second, and they'll get the out at first. And of course, these Chicago Cubs will head to Washington for the division series. The Nationals won the season series between these two teams 4-2. Cubs and Nationals each average over 5 runs per ball game, near the top of the league. Since
they won't average that many runs during the postseason, no. I can tell you that. Those are usually well-pitched, low-scoring games. You know, as soon as your starter starts getting into the trouble, it doesn't matter what inning it is, you're going to the bullpen.
The Nationals, of course, with 3 of the best starters in the league. Still a question mark today after Max Scherzer left the game in the 3rd inning with a tweak to his hamstring. If he's okay, you have to give the starting edge to the Nationals. There's Mike Freeman, the shortstop. You mentioned Colorado making it to the postseason. You know, the job that Buddy Black did as he the manager of the year in the National League. You know, was it Dusty Baker bringing his club? There's a slicing hit into the left field corner. It's a foul ball. Is it Craig Counsell for the great job he did in Milwaukee? Joe Madden for the job he did here, bringing his team back to the postseason again. A lot of candidates for Manager of the Year in the National League. Two balls, one strike to Freeman. And the second, Scooter has it, and that'll do it. It's a 1, 2, 3, 6. Going to the 7th, bottom of the order. Vince will lead it off.
Speed kills, a couple of them. May 24th, Reds get a replay overturn, get the game extended, and then win the game because Billy Hamilton scores all the way from first base on a single. And then the 24th, final homestand. Billy's picked off. You want to talk about turning an out into a run. Realize no one's covering home, and here comes Billy. Billy Ball. Speed kills. Moments number 2. Two great plays right there. So obviously something very special to be the top moment of the year, and that's coming up.
Hey, JD, you know, I was not amazed, but impressed today. You know, I mean, Billy knew that D. Gordon had passed him in stolen bases last night, getting 2, and they've got a great relationship, the two of them, and a battle relationship too for the stolen base crown. But he was ready to go for it, and there's a check swing by Patrick Kivlahan, who will come in to pinch hit here in the 7th inning. Pena, the new pitcher, delivers, and there's one away. But that's Billy. You know, I mean, he's never going to be down, no matter what the numbers say or what's in front of him, is he?
No, not at all. I mean, he's a guy that is like Suarez, got a smile on his face all the time. Certainly enjoys the game. Him and D. Gordon are very good friends. They're represented by the same company, endorsed by the same company. There are some incentives involved as well in the stolen base crown. So it's a friendly rivalry. It's also a business part of it as well. Here he is with another chance.
So far today, 2 ground balls to short and a pop-up. 0 for 3 has not been on. He started the day 1 stolen base behind D. Gordon. Now the first time today, the third baseman is back in Happ, but Billy doesn't get the ball down. If he gets it down, just gets it down, he's got a base hit. Now Happ is a step closer. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I really would like to see Billy make bunting a little bit more part of his offensive game going forward.
Agreed.
And there's no reason why he can't do it. I mean, it's like something that you'd have to practice and practice a lot, because he probably wasn't raised bunny.
Fly ball to center.
I trade that lazy fly ball right there in the center field as an out with a ground ball off of a bunt with a third baseman making a barehanded play to first base. Same out, but you've got a better chance of an error, a throwaway by the third baseman than you do a center fielder dropping an easy fly.
2 away, and here comes Vinci. For 8, the one came here in Chicago, his first major league hit, a bloop to right field. Dig out. Votto on deck. Pena, the new pitcher, started with Mike Montgomery, Lackey, now Pena. You wonder, Chris, let's say that Zach Cozart does not come back. What do the Reds do at shortstop? In all probability, they've got to look outside the organization, or do you move Suarez there? Do you put Peraza there?
I think you let Peraza play every day, and you make a determination as to whether he can be a guy that can play every day and use your long-term answer to that. Meanwhile, you have Nick Senzel knocking on the door. At some point next year, would not surprise me at all to see Senzel in the major leagues. Where do you put him? Maybe second base. Well, maybe Scooter Gennett. I mean, this is going to sound like heresy to a lot of Reds fans, but I mean, every front office has got to make tough decisions. If a team came after Scooter Gennett this winter, you'd have to listen to it.
A lot of decisions for this offseason. 3-0 Reds. Game summary of the 7th inning here in Chicago. Adam Duvall, after a Votto double, doubles to left, 1-0 Cincinnati. That's with 1 out in the 4th inning. The Reds made it 2-0 on a ground ball out to third from Deck McGuire, the pitcher, after a single by Irvin and a double by Barnhart. And add another base hit by Scooter Gennett, a rifle shot to right field after another double by Duvall and a single by Suarez, and the Reds had a 3-0 lead. That's where we are right now as we head to the bottom of inning number 7. 3 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors for the Reds. And for the Chicago Cubs, no runs, 2 hits, and no errors. Quite a performance by Deck McGuire, Chris. He gets his chance and shows what he could do here in Chicago, and it's up to the bullpen to keep it where it is.
Yeah, we really hardly had a chance to talk much about Deck. His innings were so quick and so efficient out there. He only threw, what, 66 pitches in the 5 innings in which he played. gave up 2 hits and not walk a batter. He struck out 2. A very tidy 5-inning performance by McGuire. Imagine that we will see Deck in spring training. Right now we get another look at Wandy Peralta, who is really one of the bright spots out of the Reds bullpen this year.
A big question mark on the left side of the bullpen when the Reds showed up last spring in Goodyear, and little by little this guy hammered down that spot. He was so valuable from the left side, and you figure he's a given for 2018 in the bullpen.
Well, there's no question about it. I mean, not just as a left-handed specialist, but maybe as an everyday setup guy who would pitch the 8th inning for you. And if you start speculating about the 8th inning, you might start speculating about down the road, can he be your closer?
And we're back to the discussion that we've had a lot during the course of not just this year, the last couple of years. And that is the bottom of the bullpen for Brian Price. Is Michael Lorenzen part of that, or does he get a chance to start next spring? Raisel Iglesias, is he your closer, or does he get a chance to start? That was the original plan, to make him a starter.
As was Aroldis Chapman.
Full count, 3-2. Swing and a miss. And retired is Zobrist. Ben Zobrist 0 for 3, fly ball, line drive out, and this strikeout. So first out for Peralta. Well, there's Felix Pena, who will get to hit. He's had 2 at-bats, no hit yet. Dribble foul, 1 ball and 1 strike. When a team ends its season at home, everybody's got a few days to pack their bags, get ready to go. When you end on the road, everybody kind of goes in different directions. Some will take the Reds team charter back to Cincinnati and go home from there. Others will leave right from here and head home. The new season begins. A lot of reflecting in the last few days. You talk to each and every one of those guys. They all have a different plan for the offseason and a goal for the next season, and that's to still be alive when you get to October. For Bronson, a whole new challenge for him as he talks to Billy Hatcher. What will 2018 mean for the guy who retires? Hey, it all starts in 5 days. The countdown to face-off is underway for the Blue Jackets home opener at Nationwide Arena against the Islanders next Friday. Countdown to face-off presented by local participating Wendy's stores. Here's Schwarber. Rounding this one into short right field. Jeanette has it, and that'll do it. A good clean inning from the Reds lefty. Going to the 8th. Reds lead at 3-0. hopefully it is a smiling scoreboard that you're pulling the curtain down for the final post-game show of the season. And when you do, you'll talk about this guy, no doubt. Joey, 1 for 3, continued his on-base streak as he ends the 2017 season with 32 consecutive games. And for Joey, no way to minimize how impressive this year has been. Just outstanding day in and day out. Today, bounced out, double to right, and bounced out to first.
George, I mean, what he did on the field was certainly, you can quantify it. I mean, the number of times he reached base this year on the all-time single season left by the Reds. I mean, pretty soon that'll be all Joey Votto all the time. I mean, anytime you erase Pete Rose from the list of Reds' great deeds that you did, you're really doing something. But I mean, he made so many other steps forward. And I think with kind of being around the team, giving some more of those teammates a little bit more Joey Votto had helped. And I'll tell you, he became much more media friendly. I mean, those interviews that he did with Jim Day this year, they will go down as ones you want to remember for a long, long time. They have become very, very close.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Votto. And we'll go full 3 and 2. Now, we've all seen Joey evolve as a hitter and as a player, but JD, it's been great to watch him evolve and grow into his role as a leader on this team as one of the best in all of baseball, hasn't it?
Yeah, that, and you know, getting in touch with the fans. Seen a lot more interaction with fans and him this year or the last couple of years.
Left center field towards the wall. Almora reaching over. It's going to be at the base of the wall, and Joey will have his second double of the ball game. He will end 2017 the way he started it. 34 doubles on the season for Votto, the Reds' leadoff hitter on here in the 8th. And a moment for Reds fans behind the dugout. Joey's going to come out of the game replaced, and a great standing ovation for those Reds fans behind the dugout right now. Well deserved. And he gets the curtain call he deserves from his teammates and from those fans behind the dugout. We'll show you that OPS number again right after Adam Duvall. So runner at second.
You know, George, I've played with a lot of really great players, many that are in the Hall of Fame right now. And to some of those players, baseball seemed to come very easy. It's almost like they didn't even have to work. They were just given this great talent, and all they had to do was show up and use their speed and their power and their hand-eye coordination. Next thing you know, they're in Cooperstown. But Votto, it reminds me, he's like a self-made man. I mean, his work ethic, I've never seen anybody like it. And the guy just gets after it every day after every day, and I think that has an effect on the players around him more than playing with a guy who was just given tremendous ability. And it's nice to see.
1 ball, 1 strike. That's a little wide. 2-1 to Adam Duvall with Schebler pinch running for Votto down at second.
And it's natural always to think, hey, when a guy starts reaching in the middle 30s, you know, when is he going to slow down? But the way Votto takes care of himself, I mean, his diet, his adherence to, you know, his structure, I think he can continue what he's doing. I mean, if he stays injury-free, you know, for quite a few more years.
And those things you're talking about are things that he's been very cognizant of, and he's done it each and every year, whether it's off-season regimen or what he does eat, how he takes care of his diet, all things that he's done to make himself better each year. 2 balls, 2 strikes. You know, and you talk about having belief in yourself, and I'll never forget when he was at Double-A, and of course Joey's a native of Toronto and would go back home to Toronto very often during the off season. And early in his career, when he went back every year, he would get he'd scout around to get some baseballs to go back and hit in the cage, because he'd hit every day in the winter up in Toronto. Here's Pena to the stretch to Duvall, 2-2. And that's a call, strike 3. So Adam Duvall, 2 doubles, 2 for 4 on the night. He's retired on this strikeout by Pena. Here's your highest OPS in a season for the Reds since 1913. Kevin Mitchell was immense in '94. And how about Joey in 2017 and in his MVP year of 2010?
Oh, of course, the guys that you see with Joey Votto on that list didn't even know what OPS was, because we didn't really track it as a stat back in the, even in the 1990s when Kevin Mitchell played. I mean, it's become more and more mainstream, and it should be. It's probably even too archaic for Joey Votto. I mean, he really is into the advanced metrics. But incredible year. Getting after it every day.
Schebler off second. Here's Suarez, who's 2 for 3. High in the air to center field. This is going to stay in the park. Under it is Almora. Schebler tagging at second, but he'll hold there. Throw comes perfectly into the bag, but they get back to when Joey was at Double-A. 2 things. Number one, he goes north to Toronto and had some baseballs, and he wore out the baseballs he had. And at that point, remember, Tim Nearing was in the organization, herding through the minor leaguers, and Grant Greiser was there too. 2 guys who helped a lot of these guys grow up. And he called for more baseballs. He called Grant, and Grant said, we've never done this before. We don't send baseballs to players. It's a special situation. And Joey's response to Grant was, well, I'm a special player, aren't I? And he sure is. I mean, he believed in himself way back then. And Grant boxed up some baseballs and sent them to him, and he went hacking away all winter long in the cage. Doesn't happen by accident.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen by accident. No balls, 1 strike from the stretch. Pena. Scooter, another RBI. 97 on the year as he singled to right last time up to give the Reds a 3-0 lead. He's 1 for 3. Joey had faith in himself, and so did so many in the Reds minor league system. Locked him up with that breaking ball. They'll get the out at first, and that'll do it. 3-0 Reds. Votto's season is over, but oh, what a season for number 19. '17 season. A special thanks to Ray St. Clair Roofing for being the presenting sponsor for Reds Live and the pregame show before every Reds game this season here on Fox Sports Ohio. Great job by the guys back in the studio all season long for pre and post game. And just like we promised you earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Our moment Not on the field, but how about Joey? Jim talked about interacting with the fans. A couple of fans have been talking to him all day, and what do? They got a present. They got the former MVP's batting gloves. How about that? They may be Baez and Rizzo fans and Cubs fans, but now they got a little love for the Reds too. Isn't that great, Chris?
That's awesome.
Pretty neat. Next time we come back, maybe we'll get red shirts for him too.
Boy, that's what it's all about.
Yep. There's Victor Caratini as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning.
And Kevin Shackelford on the mound for the Reds.
Deck McGuire pitched great in his start. 5 innings, 2 hits, no runs, couple of strikeouts for McGuire, and he got a run batted in on a ground ball out too. Luke Farrell, Peralta, Adam Duvall moves to first base, and Schebler stays in the game in the outfield. By the way, Chris, we want to send our good luck wishes to Tito, Terry Francona, and all the Indians up north as they make their trek to the postseason, and our good buddy Jay Bruce. Boy, he's been a great addition to that club in the closing weeks of the season. He's embraced them, they've embraced him, and boy, he's paid off. But best to the Indians as they strive to get back to the World Series in 2017. We talk about pitching at this time of year. They got some pitching. Their starting pitching has been outstanding. They bolstered their bullpen too. So who do you handicap? We've talked about the Cubs taking on the Washington Nationals to start it. I mean, the teams that have been the hottest all year. The Dodgers were the hottest in the first half of the year. Houston was hot in the first half of the year in the American League. Do the Dodgers have enough to bounce back and maintain that same momentum in the postseason? They've won more games than anybody else this year. Swing and a miss. Caratini retired, first out of the 8th inning. Do you favor the defending champions because they've been there before in the National League?
Well, I think we talked about the Nationals and how good they are from the very top. Now, the Indians in the American League, I like them all the way. And I think the Nationals have a shot at it.
Starting pitching Indians,
yeah.
Why? Yeah. And they're getting people healthy.
I think the other part of it is, if the Arizona Diamondbacks can win the one game play-in, that's a team that there aren't a whole lot of teams that want to play them. That's a very good and well-rounded team.
Difficulty, they've got to use Greinke in game 1. Here's LaStella up for the second time, line to right first time up. And the Indians, fortunately, I mean, you hope that Andrew Miller can do what he did last year, finally off the disabled list. And if the knee holds up, boy, he's an equalizer in the bullpen. They got Kipnis back, and even last night, Michael Brantley came in to pinch hit. That's a big boost if they can get Brantley back too. Been on the disabled list an extended period. No balls, 2 strikes to LaStella. Shackelford to the stretch. That's up high. Of all the bullpen guys that have come up this year, probably Kevin Shackelford has got the longest look, the most discerning look from Mac Jenkins and Ryan Price as you look at next year's bullpen. He was the closer down at Louisville. They put him in all kinds of situations here, so he's had an opportunity to show what he could do.
Well, I think just the fact that you were hitting right on the head, George, that they're giving him a lot of looks is an indication that, they're looking for arms down there next year. Because you're never just going to need the guys that you break camp with. You may have 7 relievers when you break camp, and you may end up using 14 or 15 by the end of the season on a good year. This year the Reds use, I think, 31 pitchers overall, 15 different starters.
And even on a good year, you're probably talking about 8 starters during the course of the year between AAA to the majors. At least 8.
A great year.
Yeah. 1 ball, 2 strikes as the sun makes an appearance here at Wrigley. Swing and a miss. The Stella retired. Back-to-back strikeouts here in the 8th. Their National League wild card game, Rockies, who punched their ticket last night against the Diamondbacks. Winners will play the Dodgers on Friday. John Gray against Zach Greinke, who won 17 this year. Arizona won the season series 11-8, including winning 9 of the last 12. They've had really the Hatfields and McCoys out west this year. The Dodgers, Arizona, Colorado. But realistically, Chris, I think from about May on, you figured those 3 teams were going to be there, huh? I mean, there was an outside chance somebody might squeak in, but they had the best records all year long. Here's
have you noticed something different about this game today, George?
A lot.
Yeah. Number one, there has not been a walk in this entire ball game today. And you don't have, this is almost like you rolled the clock back, 15 or 20 years. When batters stepped up to the plate wanting to swing the bat rather than see how many pitches they can make the opposing pitcher throw. Umpires calling strikes, batters swinging the bat, and the game's moving right along.
It's a good formula.
A good old-fashioned 3-0 game.
It's a good formula. One ball, 2 strikes. And how about that? Striking out the side is Shackelford in the 8th. To the 9th we go. Reds lead it 3-0.
Of 2017. Is there any doubt on this one? June 6th versus St. Louis. Scooter Gennett, Cincinnati born, put himself into Cincinnati Reds folklore forever. When he had 4 home runs in 1 game, 5 hits, 10 RBIs, 17 total bases, and the first player in MLB history to accomplish that. Ryan Scooter Gennett, June 6, 2017. A night we will never forget. A season which hasn't been what the Reds wanted in the standings, but provided some great moments like that. Joey Votto with the youngster Super Bubs. Zach Cozart getting the donkey from Votto. Luke Farrell pitching against his dad. There have been some outstanding moments. That's our top moment for 2017.
Jim, the day after that 4 home run game by Scooter Gennett is when the Reds had their community fund game. And you operated the telethon. You're a big part of the telethon there. And the timing of that whole thing could not have been better. I mean, it got so many people, who were just so fired up about the Reds. I mean, at that point, the Reds were struggling. They weren't projected to win the division or anything like that. But it really got a lot of fans excited. And it was great timing. know it raised a lot of money that night for the Reds Community Fund.
A record amount this year. And to tell you something about that guy right there, Scooter Gennett, the next day is Phillip Ervin stepping in as we go to the 9th inning. High fly ball to right. Battling the sun is Zobrist, and he shows you how to do it, battling the sun, doesn't he? And wherever you put him, he finds a way. But with the community fund that next day, Scooter, remember, it had already been set up that they were going to auction off a lunch with Billy Hamilton, right, JD? Remember that? And
yeah.
Scooter volunteered. You know, he knew that strike while the iron is hot. And he said, I'll do whatever I can do to help the community fund. This is a day later. Some people would have just gone to hide in a hole somewhere. But he made himself open to it. Charlie Frank and the whole crew with the community fund put that together, and it helped make the greatest community fund night ever for the Reds. And always a special night, but is even more special that night. It tells you something about Scooter and something that he'll always take with him. He really embraced the whole community. That was the start of something very special. There's Wallach up for the second time. Jesse Winker has moved into the on-deck circle. As Dylan Maples takes over here in the 9th. You know, every year we get to the end of the year, Chris, you thank a lot of people and you remember the moments. I'll tell you one thing that really goes from start to finish is the job that Charlie Frank and that group does with the community fund. It just is remarkable, and all the good work and good deeds that are done within the Reds community. It's certainly a highlight of what Bob Castellini and the ownership group has done to bring the Reds back to the community and be so much a part of the community. Don't forget, Reds 2018 group tickets, hospitality areas, and party areas are on sale now. Pick a date for your group and enjoy one of our newest and most luxurious options, the Jack Casino Super Suite. This climate-controlled space with an upscale buffet and a whole lot more. Perfect for groups of 30 to 40. Book today at reds.com/groups. Wait, here's Jesse. Winker will remember this year as a special year. We talked about Vincey getting his first major league hit, first major league homer, and a guy, Chris, who showed that he could play up here.
I don't think there's any doubt in his mind that he can play up here, and I think that's the first big step that a young player has to have. The confidence to say, you know what, these guys pull their uniforms on the same way I do. And I can hit up here. The question is, the Reds have to make some decisions as to where he falls in.
Rocketed past La Stella for a base hit. So Winker will pick up a base hit, and that'll get him close to 300 for the year. Came in at 292. A bullet past La Stella, and the Reds have a 2-out base hit here in the 9th. And Billy will have one more crack at it. Hamilton today, 2 ground balls to short, pop up to first, and a fly ball to center. I see you got your abacus out. Where does that put Winker with his average?
A couple of points under 300.
Close, but not there yet, huh? Hey, great to see the girls up here.
Yeah, it was great to have them. A couple of them have never been to Wrigley Field before. So it can be a friendly place, Wrigley Field, as long as you don't wear too much Reds gear.
It's been a good summer.
Of course, this year, in a summer in which the Cubs have completely dominated the Reds, there's no bad feelings at all on the part of Cubs fans.
It's a different demeanor, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, this is about as laid back as you're going to see you know, this ballpark, there's the first walk of the game. And wouldn't you know it,
Somebody on
it's
second.
Billy Hamilton, and he's got a runner ahead of him.
He's waving the winker as if to say go. Jesse's looking at him saying, do you want me to go? I mean, why not? He was looking right at Billy. And they will play behind him. They're both going. And they got him. Hold on. Winker says challenge. We'll see if the Reds will challenge. Did he get the hand in under the tag? The tag is high. Is there enough to overturn it? He might be right. He missed him on the right arm, and the Reds will challenge. So, and we don't know yet whether D. Gordon has gotten a stolen base. He started the day 1 stolen base ahead of Billy Hamilton at 60 to 59. So even though there was no throw to second, it is, if he is declared safe, it will be a stolen base for Billy too. That was orchestrated by the two of them, wasn't it, Chris?
I wonder if the manager knew that they had a little conspiracy going there.
As near as we could tell by looking online at the box score, D. Gordon has not stolen a base yet. Is there enough to overturn? Doesn't look like it, does it? But
you know, Jim Dade made an interesting point earlier about how D. Gordon and Billy Hamilton represented by the same company. And there's some incentive to who is going to lead the league in stolen bases. Now, Major League Baseball teams are not allowed to give incentive clauses based on qualitative stats, like the number of stolen bases or hitting 300 or hitting 40 home runs. They can only do bonuses based on the number of games you play, the number of innings you pitch, and so on and so forth. But outside of baseball, there's no rule that, you know, whatever your clothing company may be, can give you an incentive if you happen to be the guy to lead in that particular category. So I think that's what they have on the line as well.
what a way to come to an end to this 2017
and how
season.
fitting.
It is.
Right?
It is.
Maybe you know, on the last day of the year when there's really nothing at stake in MLB, maybe they rang the bell in New York and nobody answered.
Oh, he's out.
Hang with him.
That'll wrap up the inning. Billy's walking over to Jesse Winker saying, thanks for trying.
Copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio has been brought to you by Kroger. Stop by your neighborhood Kroger to save big store-wide. Great food, low prices, all at Kroger. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Well, riding off into the sunset is this 2017 regular season game 162. The Reds trying to end it with a smiling scoreboard. They lead it 3-0 as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. There's Taylor Davis to lead it off. A shot down to second. Over to Duvall is the throw. And there's one away. Marcell Iglesias will try to put the capper on this one, Chris. And look at the saves and save opportunities. When the saves have been there, this guy's been there too. And not all of these have been one-inning saves. He leads baseball in multi-inning saves and appearances by closers.
Well, that was the plan, you know, coming out of spring training, that the Reds were going to use their bullpen in a different way, almost a throwback way, where you were going to use your closer for a couple of innings, and then you had a backup closer that could go a couple of days later for a few innings, because the Reds knew that they didn't have really a ton of great arms at the end of the game.
Now more to center field. That is gone. Well, the shutout is gone, and Albert Almora drills one straight away center field for a round tripper, and it's a 3-1 game. That got this crowd that was just sitting around waiting to say thanks at the end of the game on their feet for the first time. Fastball straight down the middle that Almora rips for his 8th homer of the season. There's Mike Freeman, the shortstop. Bouncer down to second. Scooter has it. And here's your second out. And here comes Ben Zobrist. Zobrist today 0 for 3, a fly ball out, a line drive out, and a strikeout. If you joined us late, all the regulars started, but most of them exited. Zobrist is the lone one to stay around, but that'll do it. 3 ground balls to second. It'll go down as a closer for Iglesias, and he did an outstanding job throughout this 2017 season. Gives up the homer, but will go home with a W as Phillip Ervin and the Reds wrap up the final game of the season with a 3-1 victory over the Chicago Cubs. Will Homer Bailey be 100% next year? He sure showed that he's back, and the Reds need him to be strong for 2018. A whole lot more to talk about on Reds Live postgame. That'll be coming your way. Joey Votto, a tremendous year for him, saying goodbye to their fans behind the dugout and to each other. Reds Live postgame coming up after these messages.